My name's Richard Bromley. I'm a skeleton coach and performance engineer. So got into the sport with my brother Kristen, who's my partner in Bromley Technologies, a company we run also in Sheffield. We travelled together as a family, two brothers. He was the athlete, I was the coach, or learning coach at the time. After he retired after Sochi, he started working with the Dutch team, I started working with the Korean team, and now I'm with the Belgium and Brazilian team, who you guys are helping with your services. The idea was, with 2 years to the Olympic Games, we wanted to optimise our aerodynamics on the sleds for each athlete without impacting all the chassis and runner work that we've done in the past. We ran a matrix of positions, from body position, forward and back on the sled, ride height study, a tilt study, and through this matrix we've been able to pick out what we can implement without affecting drivability on the sled.
My name is Nicole Silveira and I sled for Brazil in the sport of skeleton. This will be my 8th season. My federation asked if I wanted to try and be the first athlete to represent Brazil at an Olympic Winter Games in the sport of skeleton. So we never had one before, and I kind of took that opportunity and ran with it.
My name is Meylemans. I slide skeleton for Belgium, and I've been doing so for 16 years now. And I started skeleton through a lot of coincidences, since Belgium is not really a winter sports country.
The aim was to achieve 5% reduction in drag, which roughly equates to just shy of 0.2 of a second on an average track. What that equates to in real terms is very hard with the mistakes that go on in a track, but to know that we have 1 to 0.2 advantage from what we did have, that's so good and so positive that. And it has shown actually during training that we have got a little faster, so I do believe it is working.
I'm also a science person, so I like numbers and I like seeing things progress. So I think knowing that on paper it's faster and that we are not slow this year means it's working. I think this is a great project to work with to develop even more and see how far you can push it.
The key problems was the position on the sled. For Kim in particular, she's a little shorter, so to look at her body position in the best aero position really impacted where her head was going to be, and that really changed then the front end of the sled. So everything was a knock-on effect. So you're trying to position them ideally with the body position, but then the ride height changed also where the head could go and the front end of the sleds. It was very tricky for Kim. But we've found something that I believe works.
All the work has brought on some pretty big changes in my case. All the simulation has shown that aerodynamically I would be better off being more back on my sled. But I'm a quite short athlete, which means I now ended up in a position where my head was on the front of my sled. The change that was meant for aerodynamical reason to move back brought a second benefit, which is that now I can rest my head on the sled, which means I also don't drag as much. There's some things that you just don't know if you can't measure them, and the simulation helped us measure those things, which meant some changes, and the changes seem to be working in our favor, so that's all I could have wished for.
From years gone by, we've had to test our changes with the wind tunnels, which is very, very expensive, very costly. So to actually have this model set up now from a 3D scan in the CFD software is fantastic, because we can make these changes geometry-wise and we can make these analyses fast.